Session 2 at Event Tech Live, day 1. My name is James Morgan from Event Tech Lab. I'm hosting the stage today. I would like to welcome Paddy Power to the stage. And Paddy is from C6N Technology. He's got an alternative view of how we can use event technology and how we should choose event technology for our events. We're going to get going in a few minutes. Let me just double check. We're starting right now. Can everybody hear me perfectly on the headphones? Yeah? You don't have to have the headphones, you can either. But I'd like to draw your attention to this link down here. Okay? If you go to that link, you can actually ask questions during the presentation or at the end. Just type in your email, get on Glisser, and there you'll be able to see the slides as well. You can download the slides, share the slides, and ask questions of Paddy. So Paddy, thank you very much for joining us today.
Lovely. Thank you. How are we for volume? We okay?
Yeah, that's right.
Everyone's got their headsets working?
And they've also put
Good
that
stuff.
on that
Thank
slide
you.
as well, which
Thank
is
you for
great.
joining me this morning.
And they've put your logo.
One thing they didn't point out was I'm not the bookmakers. They kindly put it on my badge, just to be clear on that. So if you're here to see Paddy Power, the bookmaker, I have to apologise straight away. You're free to leave now. A couple of other things I need to mention. I've been in the industry for over 26, 27 years now. My focus is on exhibitors and visitors, not so much the organisers. That's what matters to me. The other thing I need to mention is that for the last 2.5 years I've been living with cancer, hence the slightly odd bandages. The other thing it does is it makes my right eye blink uncontrollably sometimes. So if you're near the front and I appear to be winking at you, I'm probably not. It's just a funny eye. So I'm not looking for sympathy, but just to explain some of the strange things that might happen during this presentation. I do have a slightly alternative view. The other thing I have is only one slide. I should mention as well that I sometimes swear, which isn't big and isn't clever. If you're easily offended, I apologise in advance. I have one slide. It prevents you having to ask the question at the end, can I have a copy of the slides? Because really it's quite shit and no one's really going to want it. So you're prepared to take a picture of it, but what does it mean? A lot of the time speakers stand up and all they really want to do is use this as a script. And I was going to do that, but I thought because of the topic of what we're talking about, because we're talking about technology, who's it for and do we care, really I just want to use that. That's a brain dump from me. I'm wearing 2 hats today. The first one is around the event tech that I see in this room and that I work with on a regular basis with exhibitors and visitors. It's my assertion that what we're doing is we're just pushing out what we've got. We're pushing out what the organisers and the contractors want us to see. Mainly it's stuff that the retail industry was using 10 or 15 years ago, and we've adapted it and adopted it to make it work in an event space. And it's my assertion that it doesn't work as well in that space as it should, because what we're not doing is we're not understanding what exhibitors want, we don't care about the visitors, and because of that, we just throw it all out at them. And that doesn't make sense to me. We should be making a difference to the exhibitors and the visitors every time they walk through the door of a show. So rather than just push out everything that we've got, just because we've got it on our shelves and we like the idea of it, we need to be asking questions and pulling through on what people want to make a difference to their bottom line. Not just having a great event, but actually affecting their business in a positive way. So I think it's important that we understand that. I get the fact that some people don't know what they don't know. I know Henry Ford said, if we'd asked the people what they really wanted, we'd have given them a stronger, faster horse, and the motor car might never have been invented. But that's quite a niche market. So I think what we need to do is do more on the pulling through on what people really need, what they really expect when they go through to a show. And the technology starts when you register. And that for me that's the start of where the madness lies. Why does it take a visitor 50 questions to register for an event? It doesn't make any sense. What do we use it for? The organisers sit around and every different department wants to ask a different question. How did you travel to the show? Do you read this magazine? What else are you doing? What other shows do you go to? It mounts up and it mounts up and it mounts up. But does it really help the visitor? I don't think it does. And often it doesn't help the exhibitor either. It is literally just something that the organisers do because in their minds they can get the rebooking process started 10 minutes after the show opens. Otherwise, everyone else is going to want your stand space and the four horsemen of the apocalypse are going to come through your office and kill everybody because you have to have that space, it's in demand. That doesn't make sense either. That shows that we really don't care about the visitors from my point of view and the exhibitors and the visitors. And we have to change that dynamic completely to make sense of what we're doing here. This is great stuff. We talk about the wow factor all the time. How big is the screen? What's going on? But we're not making any difference to the people when they go back to their office and actually start picking up the phone and start doing something to turn those leads into business. We're talking more and more about measuring stuff, but we don't measure it in an effective way from my point of view. I know if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. Peter Drucker said that. Before that, Kelvin said, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. Both those things are true. But we're not giving people... As an industry, we still use a mean average as a bit of data. And the mean average is the most meaningless bit of data you're ever going to get. It doesn't do anything for everybody. If you're talking about medians and modes, that's fine. But we're not giving the people what they want to improve their business. And it's time that we change that. We're throwing up on them with everything we've got, whether it's touch screens, whether it's the number of pixels, whether it's engagement, whatever it is. RFID, is that still a thing? I guess it is in retail. And I guess it is in events, but I don't think it works that well in the event space. When I look up RFID on Google, what it tells me is that the best place to use it is baggage control and livestock control. And livestock control is quite ironic because I think that's how we treat visitors sometimes when they come to the show. They're just people, they're just numbers that come through the door and we hope they have a decent time and we hope they enjoy it. So I'm speaking to visitors now on a regular basis and exhibitors to make sure they're getting what they want, even if that gets in the way of what the organisers are telling me. So sometimes organisers, I'm not very popular with them because I like to tell it how it is, and this is what I witness on a regular basis, working for companies like the American Bureau of Shipping, Johnson & Johnson, Castrol BP. People like that need to have a decent result and they need to be able to measure it in a good way. We're not content driven. We still aren't. People have been talking in this industry for 15 years about the importance of content, but we're doing it all the wrong way around. We're saying, here's a screen. Every stand, at every space you go to, at any exhibition over the next few days, will have several screens on it. But it's the wrong way around. We're saying, here's a screen, now come up with some content. That makes absolutely no sense at all, from my point of view. The other challenge that we've got is we have things like touch screens. But what we don't do is we don't train the staff that are on the stands that have those touch screens to allow people to engage with them. Again, we're doing it all the wrong way around. We just leave huge screens with not much to see, certainly nothing of interest, because the contractor or the organisers said, or these suppliers have said, the bigger the screen, the better. Look how many pixels we can get. Look how clear this is. Look what we're doing with it. But again, we're not allowing people to tell us what they really need to improve their business. And again, that has to change. We lead people along. I don't know if you can see that, excuse the language at the bottom there, but what we're doing on a regular basis is we take people through the process, an event or exhibition, we lead them on with everything that's great about the screens that they're using, about the tech, and then we just leave them teetering on the edge of the swamp of fuck all, because it's no good to anybody what we're giving them. And that, again, needs to change. We break that link. We're not interested enough in their success to continue talking to them after the event. Now, I know some of the companies here are changing that. They're trying to adapt it so that they can give people the kind of data that they think they need to be able to pick the phone up, to be able to do stuff where they can improve business. But if you were here for Tim's presentation earlier as well, you'll know that there's a gap where when you're on the stand, people are hiding behind the technology. Why wouldn't you make an appointment with someone that you're standing directly in front of? Why would you just scan their badge? It makes no sense at all. You've got somebody, a warm body in front of you that's interested in what you're saying, and then you say, tell you what, why don't we swap business cards, I'll give you a call later. Why wouldn't you ask them there and then that the next step for our process is for us to come and see you and to understand what you really need. So while you've got your phone with you, let's put that date in the diary, we'll get it nailed down, and rather than come back with a bunch of leads from an event or an exhibition, you're coming back with a steady diary of good appointments that have been well qualified. Does that make sense? We need to move on as well. We need to get ahead of what retail's doing. We're talking, I mean, I don't know, Tim, I think he's still in the audience somewhere, but chatbots, we need to lead with stuff like that, not just be following what retail are doing. Is it going to make a difference to how we can allow people to communicate with the organisers on a regular basis and get good feedback? So rather than following what retail are doing, we need to be leading the way as an industry in terms of what's available and how well used it is. So from that point of view, there's some pie charts there. They don't mean anything. It's just that most presentations have a pie chart of some description in, so I just thought I'd put them in the middle there, so if you take a photo of the screen, it looks a bit more interesting. And I've got a bit of a gear change now, because I'm here wearing two hats. One is that event technology needs to develop way more quickly than it is. It's about revolution, not evolution, to a certain extent. We need to move things forward way more quickly with the exhibitors and the visitors in mind. The other hat I'm wearing, and I don't want to stand on the toes of any of the other stages, is the fact that we need to start as an industry looking after the planet, because otherwise all this is for nothing, because we're not going to have anywhere to hold the events and exhibitions that we're talking about. So this is a different type of tech I'm talking about, and this is revolutionary, because what we should be doing is taking the rubbish that we generate in festivals and exhibitions and events and turning them into something that's sustainable and rebuildable, so that we can continue to have a planet. That sounds a bit grand, doesn't it? We're saving the planet all of a sudden, going from just talking about tech to saving a planet. But this is crucial, and we don't do enough of it. We put a few bins in our offices and we say, do you know what? Here we go. Let's just make sure we put the right plastic in the right bins. It helps, but it's not really doing enough. So my second part, wearing my second hat, is around that. We absolutely must do something as an industry to allow this to continue to happen. Everyone's probably read Carl Sagan's Blue Dot. Tim mentioned it earlier. This is what we've got. The planet we're on at the moment, everyone we've ever known, every hero, every villain, every war, every religion, everything that ever existed on this planet. And if we don't look after it a little bit better, in the next few years, we're going to be in real trouble. So I would advise that we do a lot more on the tech side. I'd advise that we pull through on what people want rather than what we're throwing up on them. And I would also encourage you to do the best you can to make sure that we've got a planet to survive, so that this whole thing can carry on a lot longer than it is at the moment. Thank you. I have a summary slide, because I said I had one slide, but it kind of cheats to have two, I guess. But what I would say is, challenge these people, okay? Don't accept what they're throwing up on you. Challenge them to do the next thing and do it for your clients and your clients' clients. We need to start disrupting stuff. The old school way of thinking, the old school way of just saying, here's a big screen, doesn't it look fantastic? And you need to talk to your clients, if they're exhibitors, to find out what measures they need and what's going to make a difference to their bottom line. I mentioned it earlier, but yeah, we absolutely must develop our staff to understand the technology on the stand. We don't do anywhere near enough of that. They hide in behind it, as I said. You really must get out there and make sure that they're leading people through the touch screens, that they're talking to people about what's on there and how it's going to make a difference to them. Don't use tech for tech's sake. I see people, they just want to have the biggest screen there, and you ask them, like I said before, what's going on it? They haven't got a clue. It's not about the size of the screen. It's about the content that you're putting on it that should drive the technology that you're going to use. Sustainability, we need to stop. I know that's a bit of a gear change, but we do need to stop the bullshit and start doing something about it. And really, we need to start planning as if we're going to live forever. That's a bit of a personal one for me, but action it as if you'll die tomorrow. So putting things out there and planning for the distant future isn't good enough. These are things we need to act on now. You need to go out. There are people here that are supplying kit, and you should be out there challenging them to supply the kit that works for you, not just what they want to throw up on you. Okay? Thank you very much. I'm not sure if we have a question monitor. Or if there aren't any questions, there may not be. Is there one on the screen? How do we, I can see that. What if we lack the resources in terms of creating better content? There are content providers here, really good content providers, but it has to be that way round for sure. We need to find out what's going to make a difference and then go to them. It can be heavy on resources, I don't doubt that, but it has to be that way round. Let's see what we need, let's create the content, and then let's get the tech that goes with it. That's definitely the best way around to do it. In terms of developing the staff, then that's something I can talk to you about. It is important because too many people don't do it. The first time the staff on the stand actually see anything is the day that they turn up. So they turn up on the morning of the event and everyone's just passing them out iPads and showing them how the screens work. It has to be the other way around. We've got to develop the staff so they fully understand the technology and how the visitors are going to interact with it. Why is it developing so slowly? It's because nobody cares. Hence the title of the presentation. You know, who's it for? Well, it's for the organisers. Do we care? Not really. So until we start caring about what the visitor wants and what the exhibitor wants, then we've got nothing. And we need to change that completely. So I would say that will make a big difference. And we can't just keep following what retail do. We need some people out there, and it needs you people to go and develop what these exhibitors here are doing by challenging them to do something very different that works for you. I'm guessing that's the end of the questions, unless anyone's got a hand up question. Okay, thank you very much.